J. Randy Taraborrelli is one of the best-known biographers around. He's written bestsellers about Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, Madonna, Elizabeth Taylor, and others.
And now he's turned his sights on the Kennedys. His new book is After Camelot, a personal history of the Kennedy family, 1968 to the present. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us. It is a long read, but a very involved, fascinating read.
Thank you.
It took you 20 years?
It took 20 years. You know, it's a follow-up to my book, Jackie, Ethel, Joan, Women of Camelot. And, these, in my estimation, were everyday people living extraordinary lives. And so After Camelot is really a family drama where the subjects of the book were under such heavy public scrutiny, and all of their flaws and gifts and triumphs and tragedies were magnified 100 times over. So what I tried to do with this book was bring my reader a little bit closer to that sort of universal experience that we've all shared with the Kennedys over the last 40, 50 years.
Well, the interesting thing about this, there are a lot of characters. One thing is the negotiations as having to do with Jacqueline Kennedy's marriage to Aristotle Onassis, but also Sergeant Shriver.
Yes.
Who was a remarkable man and had been an important part of Joe Kennedy's business success.
Well, Sergeant Shriver is a sort of a personal hero of mine, and
me too.
Really,
yeah. and Eunice,
and what a couple! And this book gave me the opportunity to write not only about the people who were, born Kennedy, but who married into the family and made important contributions. And certainly Sergeant Shriver is on the top of that list. I mean, he co-founded the Peace Corps with JFK. He was the ambassador to France under LBJ, and he had an amazing political career. But there was sort of a glass ceiling to what he was able to achieve, because there was a culture in the Kennedy family that sort of protected a certain lineage of succession where the presidency was concerned. It was going to be JFK, it was going to be Bobby, it was going to be Teddy, and then it was going to be Sergeant, perhaps. And he was never able to get there. And I was reading my own book this morning, actually. And
what's it like reading your own book?
I was
reading
like
a chef making sure a chef eats their own food.
And there was a line in the book, a quote from Sergeant, where he said that he just wished that there would be a point when people would be able to acknowledge him and recognize him for who he was, and not for being a Kennedy in-law. And that
really got that chance when he was a candidate for vice president.
He did. He did have the opportunity, but he never had the full support of the Kennedys, and there was always a sense that it should have been that. Should it be Teddy? When's Teddy going to run? When's it going to be Teddy's turn? So Sergeant was always sort of fighting that.
And what's interesting about that is that he was married to Eunice, which, as you mentioned, is one of the most formidable of all the children, including Jack and John.
Well, what an amazing character Eunice is.
Because John and Teddy and Bobby.
Yes, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, she created the Special Olympics.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine your parents, Maria Shriver's parents, can you imagine your parents are Sergeant Shriver and Eunice Kennedy Shriver? Maria has often said that, public service was how they were raised.
And the Shriver kids continue to carry on their parents' legacy, I think, in very big ways.
Speak for them quickly about this negotiation took place between Teddy and Onassis, having to do with the wedding of Jackie Kennedy.
It was actually Onassis' idea.
In less than 30.
It was Onassis' idea to give Jackie a wedding gift of $1.5 million, which is quite a lot of money to give somebody as a wedding gift. And there was a negotiation, as I wrote in the book. I think people will really, it's a good story. It's too long to tell right now, but it's in the book.
The book is After Camelot, a personal history of the Kennedy family.